Allah,
Allah,
Father of the universe, peace, freedom, and justice.
freedom, and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
my salvation,
my salvation,
by night and by day.
by night and by day.
Through his holy prophet,
Through his holy prophet,
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Second one on Muslim, to be read in every meeting.
Nah, man, you gotta read it. Yeah, man, you gotta do the real thing. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that allude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and to go back to that state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they may be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a free national government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution for the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity. I desire their unity and mine back to their own national divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Japanese, Turks, Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issues and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word color alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by my citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God Allah of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people. And this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man. That have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light and utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc. in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon the civilized world. They will not refrain from their simple ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there. And it is the work of my people continuously practicing the things that bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work, to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light from the prophet, Islam. The prophet warns all Muslims. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, have found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement found by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Islam. So I was going to resume, or well, not exactly resume. I'm kind of picking another portion of Are You Confused About Law? Page 79. The context of this is more about once again, when we're out speaking to people, having things that we can cross-reference, literature that we can cross-reference to validate our point, awaken our people up. So this is a quote from When Rocks Cry Out. Hiding the pre-Columbian presence of Africans was not a new deceit. From the time Spaniards arrived in Mexico, official efforts to erase African presence were pursued with vengeance. That's page 42 of When Rocks Cry Out. Of course, the context is suppression of our info. And that's the reason why most people at large don't know about this info, because of that fact. Continuing to page 43 of When Rocks Cry Out, quote, Spain attacked the images on the temples of Mexico. Even the images of Montezuma was erased from history, right? Transitioning to the golden age of the Moors, page 21, quote, why did the perception of the Moors change? The crash of Moorish power in the middle of the 13th century, although this lingered on in enclaves like Granada until 1492, was to make a tremendous difference. It is not an accident that the year Columbus sailed was the same year African generals or Moors in Granada surrendered to Ferdinand and Isabella. The reason that's highlighted because the same time it was falling over there and got exiled, it was the same time Columbus met Cuba, where he really hit Cuba first, right? Or quote, he said he discovered it, right? So this happened at the same time. And the reason I'm contexting it like this, so you can see it was an empire, and part of the empire failed, and which was a stronghold where the Alhambra was at. So now they went to another part of the empire to try to attempt to do the same thing, which shows you it wasn't separate. Right. All right. And that was the golden age of the Moors, page 21. In the Intercatera Divina Church Bulla of May the 4th, 1493, it mentions the recovery of the Kingdom of Granada from the yoke of the Saracens. And that's what they called us, Saracens or barbarous nations. That's what the popes, Roman orders will call our people, or that wasn't down with that, or Jews.
Did Isabella and Ferdinand like send?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That they worked for, that was one of their Inquisitionist generals, basically.
Yeah.
All right, so Saracens and barbarous nations. Both the Saracens and Berbers are and have described discriminately as Moors. It also mentions the spread of Christianity on certain islands and mainlands that were unknown to them. There are evidences that the Dogons of Mali, which are Moors, and the East Yi, Y-I. Most people hear about the Yi, they're thinking about some, high yellow Asians, but the Yi were extremely dark, but they were still modern day Asian or whatnot, or Shang Dynasty. And the East Yi have both men traveled to and from America. The East Yi in the 4th century, Shanghai Dynasty BC, and the Shanghai Dynasty from 600 BC to 1046 BC, led by Hushan, or Hushin, arriving in America to search for his lost people, the dark-skinned Chinese. So this is in the BC time, 4th century. You got dark-skinned Chinese that were in America because they were searching for their cousins, Barbary. Hoshan inevitably met with the Olmecs. Got the timeline, 1600 BC, 1046 BC. So Hoshan met with the Olmecs and amalgamated. So that's how you get the slanted eye look, because Olmecs still had slanted eyes to a degree. So now you see Brother Hushan and his crew was responsible for the amalgamation with the Olmecs right? There's also evidence that the Dogon of Mali, a country in modern day Northwest Africa, part of the Moroccan Empire, have made contact with the Olmecs and have been seafaring at a time as early as 500 BC. It is also no coincidence that the Dogon are known for having mohawks. So Dogon is known for having mohawks. So we think of the hairstyle mohawk. Whose is it? Right. And the many tribes of Moors were falsely referred to as Indians, are well known for that same particular hairstyle, inclusive of the fact that mohawk and other words used by Indians are derived from the word Moor or other Arabic, Aramaic, Hebrew, and other African languages. Sheik. The word sheik from Arabic sheikh, which is essentially in English chief or base of shaka, and it literally means old man or wise man. Now, Sakem, also referred to as Algonquin, is a chief ruler. Sagamore from the Algonquin means chief ruler, and the root is Sakem. Sagamore, we just read Sakem. So sage plus more, you get Sagamore. Sage is an English, or everybody knows what a sage is, or sage is, right? A sage. Yeah. Okay. So sage English from Moorish Latin, sapiens, and just means wise. Most of us in here knows the definition of Moor, any dark-skinned person. Al Moroccan, prefix al designating from. In this context, al designating from, but we also know al, if it's on the suffix, we know it's a noble title or the masculine version of the L. But if it's in a prefix, it's designating from. So from Morocco, al Moroccan, descendants of Moroccans. From the ancient Moabite, Mauritania, Latin for an area in ancient Maghreb, stretching from central Algeria westwards to the Atlantic River. Moors are also known as a seafaring people, the first navigators. Spanish, Moreno, brown or Moorish man. Morena, brown or Moorish woman. Moros, which literally Moors. Moro, and specifically Moros would be Muslims of Malay, which is called the Philippines today. In 1886, from Spanish Moro, literally Moor. Now, a Mexim, Almoravid, which was a clan of Moors, Almohad, Mexican, Morelos, Baltimore, Zogimo, Moor, Al-Moroccan, Morocco, Mauritania, Tom Moray, all have the word Moor in it, and all those are ancient Egypt. Those would be the titles that are more ancient than Egypt. Olmec, America, Mohawk, Emir, Mohegan, Sagamore, and the Cherokee word Ama share the same root word mu, derived from an Egyptian hieroglyphic symbol meaning water. Ama means water. And we're covering this in the notes, right? We're transitioning these bullet points that we're discussing. You got it? Okay. The amalgamation with the East Yi, which we just established, was our brothers from the Shang dynasty, essentially, coming over here mixing with the Olmecs. The amalgamation with the East Yi is why the Alaskan natives look very similar to Chinese And the image that is shown of the Native American Indians displays similar characteristics. But if one were to look at the ancient Olmec heads, they have very broad noses, thick lips, and even wearing the fez of the Moors with tassels hanging from their head. Egypt had crossed the Atlantic Sea in ships more than 10,000 years before the time of Christ. And quote unquote, Egypt had crossed the Atlantic Sea in ships more than 10,000 years before the time of Christ. They have built the world's largest cities in South and Central America and in Mexico. They had united those city-states into a nation that stretched from Brazil and South America to Mexico and to Africa. Islam, Brother Sharif Gamble Bay, Islam, Brother Supreme Al.
Islam, no.
The censor or interpreter of the work failed to continue using Moorish and dark complexioned to describe Mexicans. The African presence was effectively hidden, even while the descriptions exposed the people's braided hair, Moorish clothing, their mosques, African police systems, and African ornamentation. Spanish writers who saw the Aztecs and who knew the Moors had revealed that the Aztecs even wore the same clothing used by the Africans called Moors. A month later, I found the Aztec history that removed the doubt regarding whether the Aztecs had an association with Mali. According to a European friar, and everybody, if they look up friar, if they cross-reference friar, you see that's a European nobility connected to the Inquisition. So according to a European friar, the Aztecs named their colony Malinaco. It was no coincidence that England named its settlement New England, or that Spain named its land in America New Spain. The relationship between Mali and Aztecs became clear when I saw that a translator put in his notes about Mali traditions. And that's one cross-reference. Can everybody hear me? Brother Gamble said couldn't hear me. Can everybody else hear me? What about now, brother Gamble?
Islam, brother.
Is it better now?
I had it was better than I was on.
Okay. So we good now? We good now?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, brother.
All right. And once again, well, not once again, it might be new, but I've explained this in the other classes, that as you can see, this quote from When Rocks Cry Out is talking about how the Aztecs originated from Mali. When you read the book They Came Before Columbus, they're going to get a little more specific about that, and they're going to get into a Sultan Abu Bakari, which was 2 sultans before Mansa Musa. He came over here, and they deified him out. You know, he's basically the Jesus over here, the Quetzalcoatl, basically. But in actuality, this was a real man that came over here. He was an emperor of Mali, and he started the Aztecs. So just a little more specifics. You see how they just did me right now? It's all good. All right. So everybody in here pretty much seen the visual of the Olmec head with the tassel and the fez, right? I don't need to show that to anybody, right? Okay. But she got it on her phone too. All right. I think everybody in here pretty well, I don't gotta stay on this too long. Everybody got the old make game up. As stated before, the Europeans know that the Moors had superior knowledge and we brought them out of the Dark Ages. Islam encourages learning. It is one of the reasons why Moors were able to take most of Spain without a fight. The Europeans knew what Moors had to offer them and willingly surrendered their kingdoms to study at the Moors' feet. So that period of 711 through 1492, and a little bit before that, they pretty much just was like, look, man, we want to learn the science. There was no clash or debate. All the advances in navigation, Latin sails, labels, nautical compasses, astronomical tables, tubes to the extremities of which ocular and object diopters were attached, the measurements of time by pendulum, the finest maps, also gunpowder and artillery. All right. And this is a quote from the Golden Age of the Moor. Further evidence is that Americans and Africans have been traveling, trading, spreading knowledge, etc. for centuries are excerpts from a book called Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie, where he makes points as to how the original Brits or Europeans were in fact dark-skinned. He often depicts us as reddish brown and various shades of brown. If one were to look at the brown people in America today, there is often a hint of red. I myself appear a reddish brown. This is Jamal, obviously talking about himself. He's the author of this book. He continues to say that in support of the hypothesis of kinship between the red people of Europe and America, Generali adduces A, the existence of pyramids in Egypt, America, and Eritrea, B, the labyrinth in Egypt, America, and I'm sorry, it's Etruria, C, the title of the children of the sun, born both by Incas and the pharaohs, D, of mummies in Egypt and America, and images of mummies in Etruria, E, the hieroglyphic language in Egypt and America, F, of languages having similar structure in America and Iberia and Etruria, G, of the Nile in Egypt and the Nile in the region of Guatemala, H, of canopies and sacrificial vases in Egypt, Mexico, Yucatan, and Peru, with names similar to deities they represent. I, the root of Atala or ATL, which in its original signification asserts to belong not to the European, but to the American languages. Generali further supports his theory by the assertion that animals of American origin, unknown to Africa, are to be found among the Egyptian hieroglyphics and in paintings or sculptures on the cases and monuments of Etruria. So once again, when we're talking to people and we're saying, you know, this is the old world, this is Egypt, we're basing it on pyramids, we're basing it on animals, right? Because most of the animals that they depict Africa, those animals originate in America. So the lions, the panthers, the jaguars, the dog Anubis, right? All these are American animals. So when they're giving examples of us in the jungle and Heru, and the jungles, all the jungles aren't in Africa, they're in South America. So once again, when we're talking to people, we want to hit them with concepts like, okay, they taught us in school that we come from the jungle, we naked from Africa. There's no jungles over there, all them is plains. All the jungles is in South America. The pyramids are older over here. All the animals that they claim is over there is really American animals, right? So just stuff to have as being the noble talking to the common man. Right? Also telling the pyramids with the steps are older than the ones that don't have steps, and all those are in America. I'm gonna stop right there with this segment. Continuing from the book, Spirituality Before Religion. Spirituality is unseen science. Science is unseen spirituality. Page 54, dealing with ancestors. Got that?
Oh, science is one.
The book is called Spirituality Before Religions. And then page 54, ancestors topic. Actual put ancestors, comma, ritual. Yeah. Hmm.
What chapters?
Chapter 2. So each of us is seen as spirit who has taken the form of a human in order to carry out a specific divine purpose. Spirit is the energy that keeps us connected to our creator and ancestors. Ancestors are also referred to as spirits or collected unconscious. The ancestral spirit has the capacity to see the invisible spirit world and also visible physical earthly world. Our ancestors serve as our senses on the other side. Ancestor spirit can see, hear, taste, feel, smell, and think through the future, past, and present along the space-time continuum. They can see inside of us and see the outside through us. They can see multidimensionally, transgenerationally, and intergenerationally. Without the limitation of the physical body, they have the fluidity of the senses that see, hear, taste, feel, and smell many different ways, levels, and directions. We continue our relationship with our ancestor spirit by invoking, evocating, and recognizing their presence with us. Dr. Sobunfu reminds us, quote, just as parents respond to the needs of their children, when you reach out to your ancestors, they will be with you immediately. They see the visible world through us, and we experience the invisible world through them. They want us to call on them. This relationship will also attract a lot of ancestral spirits that when we may not realize are with us. Our creator and ancestors are always with us, even if we do not call on them. However, when we recognize them, we activate them within us. Our creator and ancestors are not outside of us. When we vibrate on their presence, they do not come from the outside to inside of us. They come from the inside of us to the outside of us, unquote. When we perform the ritual libation, we are one with our ancestors. In unity with them, the living is able to fulfill the song that claims to, quote, touch the hem of the creator's garment. Humans gain the ability to experience the highest form of love called myrrh, M-E-R, myrrh. And remember, this is not a Moorish Science Temple book. He's a Moor, but it's not a Moorish paradigm book. So I consider this for the collector. So when he's saying myrrh, I find it hit home better because it's still going back to the myrrh, regardless, you know what I mean?
What's the origin of the word?
Love.
Language.
Myrrh,
But like what language?
well, if you look at the, I guess, the hieroglyphic dictionary, it talks about MR being the high priest of Anu, and it also myrrh means love, right? So if you, but at this time, this is language coming from the Canaanites, so you're gonna say, oh, it's a Canaanite language.
The Sumerian.
Yeah, Sumerian language, right? Every time you speak from the heart, invoke or tell, love called myrrh by the Cushitic Kemites. So you can also call it a Cushitic language, but the Cushites and the Canaanites and the Moabites are the same people, they're just cousins. So you got a choice, actually. You call it a Cushitic language.
Mermaid, love maid,
Right,
mermaid.
So you can say Cushitic language, Canaanite language.
Kushite and Canaanite is like broken down in modern lexicon is like Latin, right, for Arabic.
Aramaic, which is a family of that consists of that languages. So yeah,
It's a book called Myrta Moore, I think by Cosmo. I gave it to somebody, but it explains that.
yeah, that's a good one.
Myrta Moore.
Yeah, excellent book, Murder More by Cosmo L. That's that. You go into that so very specific. Every time you speak from the heart, invoke or tell an ancestor from the other world that something is going on in this world. You are in ritual. You are doing something that includes others who don't have flesh and bones like you. Our ancestors are our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin from the spiritual world. We are our ancestors' eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin in this physical world. Together in unity, we join forces and experience heaven on earth. When we acknowledge, accept, and approve those who came before us, we become one with nature. Dr. Sum continues, quote, when you respect your ancestors, you unite the community. The ancestors are the energy of the community. Ancestors exist in the forces of nature, trees, mountains, rivers, stones, and most importantly, the children. Ancestors guide, protect, and inspire the community. So when my mind goes to communities that know they got a nationality, that they're by default honoring their ancestors. Back to Chinatown, Koreatown, little Bangladesh, little Tokyo. They're essentially honoring their ancestors by keeping the traditions alive. And it's translating in present day. That's why they have no issues. They have heaven on earth. They're doing very well. And they don't have the turbulence that we have, the issues that we have. You about to fall over?
No.
I'll be over there tired. You gotta hold them up.
Are you speaking?
Good one. Some sugar or something? Like sugar something?
He's tired.
Sleeping more.
Yeah, let-
Trying to too.
No.
Tastes like that.
You make it to that thing over there?
Yeah, need water more?
What
it came to the table.
Yeah, it is.
Had any water more?
They're.
Yeah, this is good. I'll pick it up and lay down. Thank you right now, okay?
Let's keep talking. Is he
Yeah,
right
keep
there?
me. You got some water? Give me some water.
All water. Yeah, check it. It's great. Go ahead.
1 second, everybody.
We have an emergency. Is he not met?
He just needs some rest. He can have this. That's water.
Drink more.
Be here with you.
No, he just needs some rest.
Yeah.
Well, it's sad, but you know, he got back in.
Yeah.
Traveling, you understand? Did you eat today more?
Give some rest.
For sure, yeah.
Good. All right. So a ritual exists when ancestral spirits are asked to participate in human affairs. The structure of the ritual is a ceremony without an expected result because it can vary from time to time and place to place. However, ceremony is the type of performance that has an expected outcome, including birth, right to pass programs, marriage, and death, to name a few. Ritual is an open-minded performance. Ritual opens the designated sacred space for the creator and ancestors to present themselves in different ways. Sacred space is any place the cosmic spirit dwells in solidarity with the ancestral collective. The ancestral collected unconscious, rather. Ritual unifies self, other living people, the ancestors, and the creator. Rituals are not alike. Each have their own flavor, their own purpose. The best outcome is when everybody adds their own ingredient to the ritual. A ritual is like a meal where everybody brings their own dish. Dr. Sambufu, some says rituals include 1, an elaborate procession or coming in, and recession, going out. Music, construction of words that name, ordain, anoint, appoint, and consecrate the process of becoming, that bring all things into being. Walking the path of Mayat, knowing the wisdom of Tahuti. Humanity's participation and collaboration makes them central to the actual happening of the spiritual ritual. Their roles in the ritual include 1, musicians, percussions, because percussion sets the tone for the ritual. Drum, tell the story of the ritual. Song and dance, naming and translating the ritual into harmony with nature. Containers keep the ritual within the boundaries of its intention. Community or participants, the energetic principle. So to me, when we transition from ancestors to ritual, I see it as keeping habits and customs of your ancestors, keeping the traditions alive. Typically, when we do that, you'll see in real time a different energy of people, how they gravitate, like, okay, they come real respectful, like, I'm not, is it okay if I do this? But they don't want to be like, I'm not disrespecting your religion. Is it okay if you can eat this? Is this okay? Like, you start seeing people be more careful. You know what I mean? And that's the respect. It's just a respectful thing, right? Any questions or anybody want to add anything in the chat? Or in person before I continue to the next segment? So I want to just add the importance of habits and customs, because those are rituals. Even us as a body doing, like I say, the next event will be summer solstice, which is in harmony with nature, right? Because we know the 4 major seasons. So when we do celebrations or invocations together that are in harmony with nature, it propels things that we're trying to do, whatever they may be, whatever our goals as a body are. We're just at one with nature. These are examples of rituals, habits, and customs. Transitioning to a book called The Masonic Compass and Square and Their Connection to Measurement and Timekeeping. By Abdullah El Salih Mosley Bey.
Same author as Morris Masonry.
Yeah, same author as Moors and Masonry. Can you take over with the notes since
I got it.
so the Masonic Compass and Square. Chapter 2, dealing with the Illuminati, Scottish Rite, double-headed eagle, Masonic apron, and their connections to a higher state of knowing. Where'd you start? Where'd you leave out? At? Okay, the Scottish Rite. The double-headed eagle. Masonic apron. And their connections to a higher state of knowing. Cellular memory and pineal gland activation. Cellular memory and pineal activation. The double-headed eagle is symbolic of mastery of higher brain functions. Has anybody seen the double-headed eagle? Is everybody familiar with the double-headed eagle?
Germany would have that.
Everybody familiar with the double eagle, the double-headed eagle?
They're like facing the other.
So here's a picture.
You see that on the flag.
Would that be like a trace of bestiality because it's like a 2-headed thing versus like?
That's what they want, you think. That's the common, but even that concept comes from this concept.
It's like they're legit embracing.
They're embracing it, okay, but putting a negative connotation on it. Double-headed eagle. Or anything that you'll see that has a double head,
Oh.
that's the origin. Right.
We love the Siamese over there.
Huh?
We love the Siamese.
So that's on this one. All right, so the double-headed eagle is symbolic of mastery of higher brain. Oh, matter of fact, let me put this in the chat. I don't know if it could put this double eagle. So you see it's next to the two-headed brain, where the brain has 2 sides, right? So that's the analogy. Right brain, left brain. All right, so the apron, which everybody's seen Masonic apron before, I'm pretty sure. The apron is worn by initiates in the mystery schools as a mental guide to the mastery of the lower three chakras, also known as the lower self. Illumination works through a conscious spiritual transformation from lower mind to the higher mind. Now, a question: is Illuminati a European secret society? Is Illuminati a European secret society? This is a question. Or does Illuminati refer to the ancient mind culture and philosophy of the ancient world?
Illumination.
I'll answer that. Hear both answers.
Huh?
Hear both answers in my head.
Okay. That's fine for now. Question: what comes to mind when you hear the word Illuminati? Question: do words like secret society, devil, satanic evil, mind control, and global domination come to mind when you hear Illuminati? So that's what most people think, right?
Yeah, I did think that.
Okay.
I feel like Illuminati is like,
Yeah.
it's like swastika, like it's appropriating. They took the rainbow, this is color, they took the whole rainbow, hijacked the movie. They took the Illuminati, like, we got lit life.
Well, they don't
Like
want
that.
us, they don't want us to like, be connected with it, so they'll just, say it's evil. And then, so you don't ever just connect it to something when it is part.
So I bet you've never connected higher brain function and mind development to the word Illuminati. Do you think the Illuminati is a European secret society? Do you think the pyramid with the all-seeing eye is the symbol for the Illuminati? All right. King James Version of the Bible, Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 22. The light of the body is the eye. So once again, I'm gonna rewind that. So Matthew chapter 6, verse 22. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Right? So this is in the Bible. Can you put this in the notes, this verse and chapter?
Matthew 6:22.
What chapter is it?
Matthew 6.
So the Cyclops with the most of it.
Cyclops, X-Men, Cyclops, third up. Right. Chapter 6, verse 22. And once again, when we're talking to the common man and woman, we want to go to their books that they comfortable with and bring that truth out for them.
Right, that's what we'll do, always said, no troubles with him.
Right.
Out of the way. You
Bible way.
didn't.
To condemn them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, it states, this is what it says. It says, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light.
Kind of in the parable, what they're saying is the eye versus the eyes, it's the mind. Or, it's cryptic.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, I mean, it's encrypted, but when we go through the blunt stuff and then go back to the encrypted, and it comes out, it pops out more, right? So that, now we're ready to receive the encrypted now, or the parable. We're ready to receive it. So the pyramid with the all-seeing eye is the symbol for the Illuminati. The Illuminati, however, is not a European secret society. In 1770, Mayer Marshall Boer, aka Rothschild, so Mayer Amschel Bauer, aka Rothschild, developed plans for global domination through a network of central banks currently controlled by his family and silent partners. the word Illuminati has been applied to this network of central banks. As a result, the word Illuminati is associated with a secret network of international bankers who control the world. On May 1st, 1776, Adam Westphal founded a secret society that he called the Bavarian Illuminati. With this act, the Europeans are falsely claiming to be the enlightened ones. As the Europeans have done with many words, they have suppressed the ancient cultural and philosophical mind science context of the Illuminati. As a result, the Europeans claiming the title Illuminati that the rappers think the Illuminati is the rappers. That's he threw that in there. But that's true though. Most of the rappers, they're throwing up the diamond and, you know, I think it started with Jay-Z, right?
Symbols.
Signs and symbols, right? Think the Illuminati is a European secret society that controls the music industry, right? That's the little commercial definition, right? Those rappers and others who are classified as Black in the United States Census Bureau are in fact the Illuminati, the enlightened one, if they knew better. They are the descendants of the enlightened ones. Right? So the rappers is looking outside of themselves.
Right.
When it's within, they're the ones. Their DNA and cellular memory store the ancient knowledge of mind science and sound, astronomy, geometry, physics, chemistry, biology, music, anatomy, etc. Melanin is the key to this higher state of consciousness. You need melanin to activate the Christ. It's just like photosynthesis with plants in a glass house. It's the same reaction that the sun has on melanated people. Today, the general public is afraid of the pyramid with the all-seeing eye and thinks it represents the devil, evil, global domination, and mind control. So let's go into the etymology of Illuminati. Illuminati, plural, from the Latin illuminatus. In that state, it means just enlightened. That's all it means, is enlightened. Illuminatus, singular, illuminati, plural. The root word lum means to shine. From the verb illuminare, throw light on, brighten, shine on, give insight into. So that's enlightened, Illuminati, right? The Latin illuminatum is dealing with to lighten, light up, show off. From lumino, to light up. The etymology of Lucifer and its connection to Illuminati. Illuminati is synonymous with Lucifer. So when you hear Lucifer in the Bible, it's not nothing to run from or it's the devil. It's life. Lucifer, illuminate.
So they want
Bringer of the light.
you afraid of the suntan.
Right. Everything that's yours, you run from it. You be scared of it.
The light bringer.
The light bringer, the bringer of the light. Lucifer.
And if I compare some Masons are bearers of the light or keepers of the light.
Keepers,
Yeah, the gatekeeper.
gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So L-U-C, loose, is the root word in the word Lucifer and a variant form of loom in the word Illuminati. Loose, light, and fur, bearer, right? So Lucifer, light bearer, right? The light bearer. Luciferian, one who bears the light. So now we know what to be Luciferian is to bring the light, bring the truth.
That was scary.
The light of the world, like Jesus.
As a talking point, I'm just saying, like, memorial to, this is a huge thing to say, like, technically for white supremacists and Luciferians.
Right.
On the merit badge, like.
Yeah, that's just the truth. All right, so the etymology of Zeus or Zeus and its connection to Illuminati and interseeing. Deus, Deus, is the Latin for the ancient Egyptian name for the sun. The following are variant forms of the Egyptian Zeus. We have IE, IEO, IEOS, JEOS, ZEUS, Zeus, right? And Jesus, Jesus, all go back to what? The light, the sun. The sun is a symbol for illumination or enlightenment. Ra is also the Egyptian name for the sun. Amen, Amen Ra. So that's you got Lucifer, Jesus. Illuminate, the connection. Transitioning. Any questions in the chat on anything before I move on? All right. Transitioning to Gnostic. The root word is gnosis. Gnosis just means knowledge. Or in Latin, noble. In modern English, it just means to know. One that knows knowledge, Gnostic. Transitioning to the etymology of witch and wizard and their connection to Illuminati and interseeing. The English words witch and wizard are derived from the Latin videre, which means to see. The Indo-European root for witch and wizard is weed, W-E-I-D, and means to see. Words like vision, envision, visible, invisible, and television are cognates or variant forms of the Latin videre, which means wisdom, wit, witness. Witch and wizard are English deriving from the Latin word vision. So a seer. Right, Tazamadi means to see, right? Witch, wizard. So witch and wizard in Latin, vision in the Latin, wisdom in English. Transitioning to the imperial wizard or grand wizard. Now these are titles of the KKK in the lodge now. You see where we're going?
Yeah, wizards, well,
They're the ground wizards.
Grand wizards.
Yeah.
So they're taking our stuff
Oh,
and using it, right? Wazir. Yep. So the imperial wizard or grand wizard, this is the national leader and highest ranking member of the Ku Klux Klan. The imperial wizard is the visionary for the organization. The name Holy See, used by the Vatican and its connection to the Illuminati of the mind. Transitioning to something else now. The word holy is derived from the Greek word helios, which means sun. Like you just said, Holy Bible. So we're talking about sun book, right? Yep. The sun is a symbol for illumination of the mind or enlightenment. The word see is in reference to the activation of the pineal gland. So the Holy See, which is the jurisdiction of Rome, right? What's Holy See mean now? Sun activation or light activation? Right?
yeah.
Right. So they stealing everything from our culture.
Yeah, they have nothing.
yeah.
Right.
At all.
Yeah, they have nothing. Man, we were here thousands and thousands of years before they showed up.
They just took it off.
Let's take it off.
Even their flora.
Islam. We will be the revealers of the light, while they will be the concealers of the light. Islam.
Wow. Yep. Note. The word hell, Hell, is derived from the Greek word helios, which we just covered means sun. So these are concepts. Once again, we're talking to the common man and woman. These are things that they're gonna hold on to. They're gonna see the pyramid on your fit, or I wear the pyramid on my turban most of the time, or my medallion got the pyramid. They're gonna be like, oh, you Illuminati, you. Now we can go here with it, and break these things down, right? The temple is a dojo, right? So we can get things, concepts, articulations, and things of that nature in order for the people. Transitioning to the word God and Jew, their connection to the third eye chakra and inner seeing. In their ancient culture and ancestral sense, the word God and Jew are connected to power of thought, seeing on all levels, intuition, psychic ability, clairvoyance, and imagination. The word God is derived from the Sanskrit word Huda, K-H-U-D-A, Huda, which means to invoke. So God just means to invoke. And everybody has the power to invoke or manifest. So God is not even a noun. It's not a person, place, or thing. It's action. Right. Right. Exactly.
Could you spell that again?
I saw those. Word.
Say KH what?
Oh, what was that? Shuja?
No, I was trying to get the spelling of it. You say KHU what?
Oh, K-H-U-D-A.
Okay, cool. All right.
Go to K-H-U-D-A. The K is silent. But go to what's it called? Edamonline.com. They have their own search engine, and put God in there, and then it's gonna take you to the oldest conception of the word, and you're gonna run across this word in Sanskrit or Proto-Indo-European languages.
It's a free app.
It's free, yeah, it's free.
Free right there for you.
Right, you learn.
Yeah,
You don't want to learn, that's your problem.
yeah. So the ancient Egyptian title Jew has been falsely claimed by Europeans. Today, the general public have been indoctrinated into believing the Jew is a European ethnic or racial group. Tahuti is the Egyptian title and is tied to the power of thought and intuition. That's another aspect, Jew, Tahuti. The Greek name for Tahuti are Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. The Romans used Mercury to represent Tahuti. Right, so now we know all the aspects of where Jews are stemming from. Because we talk about the 7 Hermetic principles. When you read the Kabbalion, books like this, I don't know, pretty sure everybody, I don't know if everybody familiar with the Kabbalion. Amazon.
Yeah, I did order like that. You got that? That's the issues. Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah.
So maybe you got it like one after that.
Well, it's not after that, it's the same book, but with the author's, little input on it. That Hermetic Masteries. So then, Yes. Yeah, plus I'll say,
Yeah, but yeah. So the Romans used Mercury to represent Tahuti. Word, sound, God, thought. And I think somebody just said that John chapter 1, verse 1, it quotes by saying, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God.
Allah. That they say God and everything.
Right, Allah. So the etymology of the word God and its connection to higher intuition, psychic ability, clairvoyance, and telepathy. That's another segment. The etymology of the word God and its connection to higher intuition, psychic ability, clairvoyance, and telepathy. So like we lightweight explained, God invoke mental powers and thoughts. In the Sanskrit is Huta. In the Persian is Huta. In the Gothic is Gut, G-U-T-T, or G-U-D-D. In modern English is G-O-D. So we went from the past to the present, right? Present, God. Ancient, Huta. Transitioning to the etymology of the word Jew and its connection to higher intuition, wisdom, psychic ability, clairvoyance, and telepathy. As we just talked about, Tahuti and Jew is one and the same, and we're dealing with the keepers of the sacred knowledge, or the messenger of the sacred knowledge. So now we're coming into, if you're a messenger of the sacred knowledge, you not only know it, you're giving it to the people, back to the common man, you're communicating the light. So now you're the messenger. Now, and that's if you're a Jew as well.
You're what?
A Jew.
A Jew, because you're knowledge.
Because you have the knowledge, you're spreading it.
That's all.
That's it.
Like Jesus.
I'm going to a Jew.
Was a Jew.
You're a Jew for spreading the truth and knowing knowledge.
That's why he was the king of the.
He said, if you say I am, he never said.
Right.
Yeah, he always threw container with other people.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
Right. So
A lot
now,
of people don't take the title. You name it, like
Right.
Ali.
Yeah, but he never ever said, he always said that you guys say it, so therefore I am what I must be.
Yeah. Even Dr. Sadie, who was before, he was like, they call me a doctor because I healed them. He was like, I don't call myself a doctor. You told me I was. But yeah, and he did, he told me, so, you know, and then he spread knowledge, so, you know.
That's what the doctor
Yeah.
teach. Doctor teach.
Yeah, right.
Doctor.
PhD. So Tahuti or Tahuti in this Egyptian or Tamaray context, Yahudi, Hebrew context, Thoth in the Greek context, Jew, modern English. Just Jew, J. Remember, there's really no J.
Right.
But modern is Jew, right? Transitioning to the etymology of Christ and its connection to Illuminati and the illumination of the mind. The etymology of Christ and its connection to Illuminati and illumination of the mind. Got that? All right. So Christ is derived from the Sanskrit word Krishna and means sun. The sun is used as a symbol for Illuminati. or illumination of the mind and enlightenment. In philosophy, the Christ consciousness refers to the activation of the pineal gland, the third eye. Therefore, a Christian is an ancient Hindustani title that refers to one who is illuminated or enlightened. Because we know Krishna, whoever studies Hindu holy books, the Veda, the Veda, Sanskrit, the Krishna is a god, is a Hindu god of enlightenment of Christ.
It's Christ.
It's Christ, yeah.
Right. Krishna is Christ.
And Christ is enlightenment, the light. Right. So, and back to the modern, we got the remix of calling Jesus Christ. That's two different situations here. Right. For one, his name is Yahshua ben Yosef. That's a man.
Right.
Jesus means the son. Christ is the illumination of the pineal gland. So when we know these things, we can expose the fraud and the linguistics of how things are modern day presented, right? Krishna in Sanskrit, Christos in Greek, Christ in modern English. So when we say the Christ has risen, we're saying the oil of the Christ rising to the brain from your generative organs. You abstain from sex. It's going to travel with the spine to the brain, right? Anoint thy head with oil. It's not just putting oil right here. That's not, everything's within. It's not, you know.
Well-made gland body.
Their church is nothing but a spectacle to gather.
Together, right?
It's service to the bread.
Right.
I'm paying money in the back.
That's right. They kept coming with different like statues crying and, you know, people would go to see that, they would donate to these people because of that. So they made it more like magic show.
All it is.
And that's an issue too. You read this, you will see that the churches did that. Down through the next one, we'll just pick our statue. They were like,
Very cool. Right.
Right.
they would just give.
That 2000 version now.
Right. So the Christ has risen, oil of the Christ rising to the brain, physiological regeneration and mental ascension. The oil at the base of the spine or the blood of Christ, illuminating substance of the body, the healing power within the body. So that actually heals you too, keeping that within you. The concept of Christ rising or Christ resurrecting is when the oil or ointment contained in the spinal cord flows back to the brain. According to Dr. George W. Carey in The Antichrist, his book, quote, this oil is created in the gray matter of the brain and flows down to the spine to become sexual fluid. The word anoint is derived from the Latin inungere, which means to smear with oil. The anointment occurs when the oil contained in the spinal cord flows back to the brain. The Masonic apron covers the lower three chakras, the area where the oil is contained in the spinal cord. If the entered apprentice, fellow craftsman, or master mason is taught true masonry, then he or she would know the ancient culture science and philosophy of raising the Kundalini energy, activating the divine power within to cause the oil contained in the spinal cord to rise or flow back to the brain. The etymology or denotation of the word heart in Greek will give the reader insight to the statement, quote, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The cerebellum is referred to as the heart in Greek. It is also shaped like a heart. Cerebellum means little brain in Latin. It is the smaller region of the lower part of the brain, which plays a key role in your motor skills or your movement. So as we can see, even in these Masonic lodges, they wearing these aprons. They don't know why they're wearing aprons. Like what we're talking about right now, they don't know the direct uncut of it.
Right, they had to pay for all this.
They had to pay for all
As
this.
they go along.
Degree.
So they're just kind of blind. In this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're down.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and remember, there's touched on to give the knowledge to the Albion and the real rituals to the dark skinned, you know, the more, and then the fake knowledge to the other way around, like, so the fake rituals to the Albion and the real rituals to the Moor, you know, and then the real knowledge to the Albion and the fake knowledge. Looks like, so everybody's like blinded. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
With all of it.
Yeah.
Nobody gets the whole shebang.
But when you're in there,
Yeah, when you're in there,
right,
yeah,
when you're out, you do whatever you want, you research
Yeah.
whatever you want.
yeah, and then they move by degrees.
Right. So Psalms, this is a Bible, Bible chapter.
Mhm.
Psalms 23, verse 5.
Verse 5.
It says, quote, "Thou anointest my head with oil." All right, so we got two Bible chapters and verses that we can utilize to these devout Christians to help them, to slow walk them to where we're at without being offensive. Just being showing scholarship. Right. So the truth is in the Bible. The truth is in here. Anoint my head with oil. The pineal gland is the pine cone shaped gland of the endocrine system, which is one of the 12 systems that I think he just mentioned. You have 12 major systems in your body. Right?
Yeah.
It produces several important hormones, including melatonin. This gland is located between the two hemispheres of the brain. So we got two sides of the brain. It's in the middle. And it produces melanin. Why do Europeans falsely claim to be the founders of Christianity and Christendom? Why do Europeans falsely claim to be Christians? Why do Europeans falsely claim to be the grand protectors of Christianity? Is Christianity a Roman political system? Is Christianity an ancient culture and philosophy of ascending to a higher state of knowing belonging to the Moabites, Egyptians, Canaanites, and Hindustani? Right, so we see that now we're seeing the differences of what is really Christianity, what is really the Christ. So we're actually Christians right now. If we're practicing activating the Christ, that's Christianity. That's activating the Christ, activating the third eye, coming into the light. So Christ, Christianity, Christendom, and Christmas are derived from the Sanskrit word Krishna and the Egyptian word Krast, K-R-S-T, or K-A-R-A-S-T, Krast. The word Christ, Christianity, Christian, Christendom, and Christmas are neither Latin nor English words. How can these words apply to the Europeans in any way when they are in fact Sanskrit and Egyptian in origin, over 10,000 years old? Over 10,000 years old. You know what comes to my mind? The flag, our national flag, over 10,000 years old as well, right? Europeans have distorted the original meaning, culture, and philosophical application of Christianity to disassociate the Aboriginal and indigenous people of the world from their ancient mind science, geometrical, astronomical, and cosmological knowledge. There are many other words for which the Europeans have created connotative meanings to steal the birthrights and sovereignty of the Aboriginal and indigenous peoples of the world. Even the word Aryan is a word whose original meaning is not known to the general public and whose connotative meaning has instilled fear in the general public. Aryan. Yeah, essentially, yeah. Today in the mainstream public arena, Aryan is viewed as a European hate group. These groups use the term Aryan race, quote unquote, but the etymology of Aryan will provide the public with insight into why Europeans reconstructed its meaning. Aryan originates from the Sanskrit word Arya, or Arya. Arya, and it means Arya, and that means noble, right? So Aryan goes back to the Sanskrit word Arya, which means noble. So everything that's ours, they tell you to run with, they remix it and
Devil worship.
Stay away from
it.
The dog.
dogma, right?
Dog that ain't sick.
Right.
That's
Does it call
bad.
himself
That's
Aryan?
evil.
Right,
That's the devil. That's the dog. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the star. That's not true. Justice.
Mhm. Yeah. And also Aryan, which means noble, it is a national title of the Hindustani. Transitioning to Christianity, the ancient Egyptian science and philosophical regeneration of the illumination of the mind, Christianity and the secretion of oil in the brain. So Christos means oil. Christos. George W. Carey and Enza Isidore Perry in their book God Man, The Word Made Flesh, analyzed the word Christ in its proper epistemology. Quote, in this book, the author George Carey states, quote, Christ is a substance, an oil or ointment contained especially in the spinal cord. Consequently, in all parts of the body, as every nerve in the body is directly or indirectly connected with the upper brain. So this is another book, God Man. Remember, we're drawing from different books to support what we're talking about. No opinion, multiple books from modern Europeans at that. Another quote from the same book entitled God Man, The Word Made Flesh. The solar plexus, also called the tail of the horse, compose a thick, oily, and salty substance. The spinal cord has a thinner substance, oil or ointment. The ida and the pingala are two fluid nerves that end in a cross in the medulla, where it contacts the cerebellum. And that's where you get this, right? This image. Anytime you see this, the crossing of the bones represents the two veins that we're talking about that meets up here.
I mean,
Like
They-
yeah.
Yeah,
they find the DNA, the RNA.
The hospital one.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
They got it right on the door too. Every time you go in the hospital,
Right.
it's like right on the door.
DNA is.
You know, the analyze, they got it right there, letting you know.
You can build thyself. Okay.
So the oil in the spinal cord is carried up and crosses the ida and pingala. The oil is then refined. The oil remains 2.5 days in the cerebellum. On the third day, the oil ascends to the pineal gland. The cerebellum connects with the optic thalamus, or the central eye. The pineal gland is cone-shaped and secretes a yellow golden fluid. Huh? That's the honey. That's the honey side. The pituitary gland opposite is the ellipsoid in shape and contains a whitish secretion. So that's the milk. Now we're talking about the land of milk and honey. It's within, the kingdom is within. The land of milk and honey, right? This,
3 days. The 3 days.
right, the resurrection on the third day, right? Jesus died on the cross. And this is so below. But as above, we're dealing with
The solstice.
the solstice, right? Right. All right. The oil returns after the crossing. It enters the cerebellum, the place of the skull. The two oils travel down the solar plexus via the semilunar ganglion phenomogastric nerve. When you look up the ganglion, we're talking about like the 12 ganglion, or we talk about the 12 tribes of Egypt. It corresponds to what he said earlier, the 12 major glands of the body. That's also symbolic. The Ida and the Pingala are the two nerve fluids where at the crossing of the medulla oblongata takes place. It rests for 2.5 days. All right. Transitioning to the oil is secreted by the cerebrum and Mount Calvary. So when you're dealing with the Calvary in the Bible, you're dealing with the place of the skull. It's the Calvary. So they're talking about Abram. But they make it seem like it's a place in the Bible, not the Calvary or the troops or whatnot. The etymology of Calvary. Calvary is derived from the Greek word Golgotha, and it means skull. So Calvary means skull. The fluid, oil, or marrow which flows down the spinal cord comes from the upper brain. The Greek word for heart, pineal gland, and pituitary gland. So the claustrum is surrounded by white matter in the brain. The external and extreme capsule are directly next to the claustrum. The claustrum is located below the insular cortex. The claustrum is also lateral to the putamen. These terms, I'm not sure if y'all know about these terms in the brain. These are sections in the brain. I know this might be it'd probably be better to take these things and look them up if y'all not familiar with these specific terms, but these are sections of your brain. The putamen in Latin is putere, it just means to think, is connected to the substantia nigra, or black substance. The substantia nigra appears dark because it contains high level of neuromelanin. The claustrum is located in the cerebrum, or the cerebrum. The claustrum releases an oily substance that is used as basic material by the pineal gland to secrete a yellow substance in the pingala and pituitary gland to secrete a white substance to the ida, like we just said, the land of milk and honey. The oily substance, or the Christ, moves down the spine to the solar plex. Here, the oil, the Christ, is transformed into psycho-spiritual seed, which then moves through the body. So back to the skull and crossbone, that I just showed, in which is, the skull and crossbone is actually a name of a Masonic fraternity as well.
The skull and bones.
Skull and bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the spine has 33 vertebrae. There are 33 degrees in masonry. Illumination works through a conscious spiritual transformation from the lower mind to the higher mind. The Moorish fez symbolizes the higher mind or the higher self. The Masonic apron symbolizes the lower mind, lower self. All right.
Also.
Yeah.
But they only have 32.
33.
No, we have.
Original man
Original man.
has 33.
That's why I think Asira said that's why they have a
Say
hunchback.
the original man, you gotta remember. Boom, man.
Yeah.
Before, man.
But remember Asira was
Yeah.
like, that's why they have hunchbacks, like, that's why they get hunchbacks, so they don't have that.
They only have 32. They can never reach 33 degrees. I'll be out there.
The Korean ones.
Yeah.
From the Yakuba experience. You know that,
That's why they was have a hunchback, like, it would be.
in fact, of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They make it a movies, yeah.
Right, like Lord of the Rings, stuff
Right.
like that. Like, really hunchy.
Yeah.
Well, the one of them, they, what's his name?
Smeagol?
It's,
There's a movie, it's, Dr. Moreau's Island.
ooh, yeah.
That's the Cuba experiment they're talking about. So if you ever get a chance, watch that. It's
The
called
island.
Dr. Moreau's Island. The
Oh,
island of
the
Dr.
island.
Moreau.
The Island of Dr. Moreau. In
Yeah, I
Moreau,
remember when I first saw my son.
in the word Moreau goes back to the Moor. That's you got, yeah, that's Yakub.
It's the scientist, it's scientist.
It's based on that.
The big headed scientist.
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to have I always have a lot of fun finding a lot of information on that subject alone. You know, so it's,
Yeah.
that's what research is good at that. Research it is. Yeah, 'cause, you know, when I heard this stuff, I was like, oh, okay. So I started looking into the stuff and trying to do what's possible, to put it in my time.
There's books too, like the Hunchback.
Right, there's a cartoon, movies, they all.
Yeah, they be showing you. Yeah.
I have another friend that always sees within Islam, he's saying like how we have different skeletal structures
Yeah.
between us, but
There
like,
you go.
I don't see it in many books, ever. I don't see it doctrinated, like I try to like explain this to people, I'll be honest, and it's not that crazy, so I don't have the full resources to explain what I've heard, but not really to like regurgitate and say, this is bad. Our bones are different, right? There were certain things, but we're trying to get better at finessing that. You guys for putting me on that end.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Right, the missing link is that declaration.
Yeah.
119.
Yeah,
It's always a middle they show.
No, just one page.
So is what?
It's always a middle version they show in the evolution, but there are
I'm
people
gonna make my point with
never.
thought.
Always,
Come full circle.
it's us and they.
Remember, they wanna be you, so if they're not gonna tell you, the original or the origin of the story says, they said that they are the origin. They came like straight from the God and like we were created on earth, but it's the opposite.
You know, so in Islamic and stuff like that, it's just that students. Genetic age. That's the missing
Right.
for us. That's the same.
Oh, you're talking about European?
They were brought into existence.
Yeah,
Well, they said, well, that's part of the story.
so, hey, so then look at it like this. All right, and yeah, which is the tribe of
So no native people now, chicken theory had 33 vertebrae, correct? But how many animals have 32?
the species.
What about hybrids?
That's the hybrid. That's the hybrid.
I mean, they're like between me, I feel like most of us nowadays are mixed some point in our family with some kind of thing. So I don't know what point does vertebrae disappear.
Because look, think about it. One thing that is mixed is that we inhabit the whole earth. We inhabit the whole earth. And we create something, right? Essentially, that one thing that we created started mixing with all of us because they started going everywhere. Because that was a thing to call. You know what I'm saying?
But his question is, once we mix, the product of us mixing with them, does the offspring have 33 vertebrae?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
the question.
Every one of those from mothers. Yeah. From mothers, from the gods, from the real gods, yes, if it's based in the experience, no. You are what your mother are, you're only as perfect as the seed of your mother.
And then the mother is God. That's what we look outside of it.
So So for melanated man and 2 children, one melanated, one with an albino, they would have 2 different spines.
Mother dictates that.
The mother.
Yeah, so they'll have 2 different spines.
But the mother would have to, DNA code sequence that. Mother creates us, so mother tells the DNA what that child becomes. Whether it's missing the 31 vertebrae part, it has vertebrae to it. It's all it says from mother. And if mother pure, the child pure. It's correct. If it's unpure, then it's not correct.
This, we got like this. Back to the original is by mixing, but you stop mixing with all of them, and start mixing with stuff. And then the original, that's eventually what his mission was, to have everybody start staying with their own, because essentially it wasn't like stay deep. That essentially you start mixing in with your own, you get right back to the root. You gotta watch out that crossbreed that we have.
Even isolated communities of mixing is not far from inbreeding.
And that's why they put us in projects together. And so that we would mix with each other and continue to not go back to the did on that. Because like I said, we have crossbreeding, it would go back to the original plan, right? It would be that was being that mixed down on. But if they don't mix with us, then that's how they keep their lineage. Good. Now you have people that but if you stop mixing with any of them, or you start mixing with people only, then essentially that's going to creep back into the original people. You should really look at the big head scientists and food and just see how it breaks down. He explained all the women into that create that and brothers.
Amazing.
So just to close out on the Kabbalion, just to bring full circle how like you said, prophet said, don't throw away the Bible. So this is the Kabbalion dealing with the 7 Hermetic principles. Whoever's not familiar with the 7 Hermetic principles, we're dealing with mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. All right. So in ancient Egypt dwelt the great adepts and masters who have never been surpassed, and who seldom have equaled during the centuries that have taken their processional flight since the days of great Hermes. So Hermes and Thoth are the same person. Tahuti, all this the same person.
Hermes strikes great, and who's that one from Greek?
Thoth,
No, Socrates. No, they're all the same people.
Tahuti.
We thought,
Trismegistus.
yes, they're all Western. In Rome, he's known as, he said it earlier today. He said it today, and I was like, oh, no, thought is tradition.
I mean, 3 times great.
He said there's another guy, he'll come to me in a second. Yeah, they're all, I mean,
Well, Thoth is great, Greek.
oh, the Greek, I thought it was Egyptian.
Yehudi is Hebrew,
Yeah.
Jew is modern English. And then Tahuti will be, that's
You said a different name, the same guy too, earlier. And it is like, oh yeah,
Krishnos?
that's India.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll come to me.
All right, so in Egypt was located the great lodge of lodges of the mystics. At the doors of her temples entered the neophytes who acted as hierophants. So the neophytes became hierophants. Everybody know what hierophants are? Magicians, high priests. So the neophytes or the initiates became high priests, adepts, and masters, traveled to the four corners of the earth, carrying with them the precious knowledge which they were ready, anxious, and willing to pass on to those who were ready to receive the same. All students of occult recognize the debt that they owe to these venerable masters of the ancient world. But among the great masters of ancient Egypt, which we already know is America, there once dwelt one of whom masters held the master of masters. The man, if man indeed he was, dwelt in Egypt in the earliest days. He was known as Hermes Trismegistus, or like we know, Thoth, Tahuti. He was the father of the occult wisdom, the father of astrology, the discoverer of alchemy. The details of his life story are lost to history owing to the lapse of the years through several of the ancient countries disputed with each other and their claims to honoring of having furnished his birthplace, and this thousands of years ago. The date of his sojourn in Egypt, in that his last incarnation on this planet is not now known, but it has been fixed at the early days of the oldest dynasties of Egypt, long before the days of Moses. The best authorities regard him as a contemporary of Abraham. That was my main point of reading all this, was getting to this point, was Abraham, which is the Christian guy. All Christians look up to Abraham as one of their forefathers. All Muslims look up to Abraham. Abraham's in the Quran and the Bible as the forefather of how they're living their life. Abraham was taught Tahuti, and Tahuti's principles are mysticism. Everything's within, everything we've been talking about today. So this is how you talk to these people, with some logic, scholarship. Your guy is my guy. Abraham's my guy too.
Abraham's a high priest.
Abraham's a high priest. You feel me?
That's why.
And I'm saying that, no, he's a high priest.
That's why essentially they say
High priest.
all religions worship Allah. You know what I'm saying? It's just that, it just goes back to how the languages, essentially we all pray.
So Abraham was into the 7 Hermetic principles,
I get it.
right?
Yeah,
Hold on, that's not the normal Kabbalion.
That's why they call Allah the great God.
Yeah. All right. That's all I had queued up for today. It was something else. I can't think about it. But any questions in the chat? Suja, Supreme,
Let me see the blue book again.
You can get that.
Chat.
Morris Civil Letter.org. That's the brother's website. Might be on Amazon, I'm not sure. I know for sure he got a personal website.
You
Morris.
said the other one was Kabbalion.
Try to make it easier.
You can get this on Amazon.
Got it, got it.
Audiobook too.
Huh?
It's an audiobook too.
Yeah, audiobook version. Yeah, as well.
It's that Kabbalion though.
Very much.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But that's pretty much it. We can, anybody got any thoughts?
This may be more so like so everything in the sense that like there was Luciferian, they're Christian, they're white supremacists, they're look like black, but they ain't black. You know what I'm saying? Like the layers of the entendre are more this the funny thing.
There's a movie that is KIO or whatever. It's about that. About the fellow guy to sell the seed without any motorized by the currents to prove that you were already crossing the seed over.
Oh, he wanted to sell the seeds.
You wanted to cross the seed,
Oh, yeah.
the seed without any power, just by way of using the current, right? And he's trying to prove that we were already crossing the ocean before the invasions. It's pretty interesting to watch. He ties all these things together. So
It's documentary.
it's not the movie, but he tells you your history. You know, but he's doing what, like, they're saying. That history. It's an eye opener.
Hold it in.
POKI, something like that. If you have reading or stuff like that, like you have PlayStation, you download freebie. I'll find out, give you the. No, probably, but it's on a freebie or like. Although, yeah, PlayStation. Okay, and on PlayStation, you go to your apps and they show you like free and stuff like that. Goes to the free stuff right now, like free now. It's called free.
Yeah, I mean that, actually, before we close out, we gotta get an official count of this treasury. Let me sign mine first. No, official count for here. Oh, but we do need to get official count too, because we put that in the minutes last week and we never did it. Yeah, but this is, I'm talking about the official count for right now.
Oh. Okay.
Um,
I'll take care of them. And then I'll take care of that.
Like, oh, I didn't have on the call on the top. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go to, text him thing in the chat, one shortly after this. It's a lick, bro, it's a lick. I'm like, I be making the connectors in West, I'm not the interior. Now y'all be for the gyms and jams and whatnot. It's cool, come on, we got the plug for this. For the box, I be moving, but just the gangs up there, what? A lot of quality stuff is not.
Jeep.
Yeah.
Post it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So.
How much is it?
In Pasadena, $8 to get in.
They come in strings?
Yeah, they have the string stuff too.
How much are the strings?
I mean, it depends on what you get. I mean,
Stuff like this.
I think I saw one of those for like 100, it was like a long string, so like it depends.
Oh.
Yeah, but like it's definitely that I've seen those. I don't know that, but I know they have them. Low prices. Yeah, my brother. Yeah.
You ain't yet, huh? Maybe you had a little something right now. A truck driver like, man, that's why I quit. I'm telling you, I swear to hit somebody. That was my last day on the job. I wasn't even going OT like him. I was just going from like, what's that desert? Mojave Desert to Lake Forest twice. So that's like about 15 hours, just like going. You know what I'm saying? That shit was crazy.
I'm tired. Yeah.
That shit was crazy. You can't work out or nothing. That's what it was. That's why I squeeze in to work out and have a regular life. You gotta sleep. You gotta be sleep. Just go to work.
I wanted to get some more clarity on this vertebrae thing. That's still kind of new. I looked up like the quick research. It was like
DNA blood is information, right?
DNA blood, yeah.
Right, so the information your mom passes on to the child will be the same.